The public has till the 31st of January to voice their views on the proposed amendment of Section 25 of the Constitution, but that date could be moved further if the Centre for Constitutional Rights has its way. The organisation has written to the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee seeking an extension of the deadline for public comment. It argues the public hasn't been given enough time. For more on this, Christine Botha for the Centre for Constitutional Rights joins me now. Very good morning to you. Christine, why this call for more time? What's lacking?
Morning, Janine. Thank you for having me. So, a constitutional amendment bill was published just before the festive season started. So, it was published in the National Government Gazette on 13 December. And as you said, the public has until the end of January. Now, considering it's an amendment to a right and a Bill of Rights, it is critical to ensure meaningful public participation. And considering from a practical perspective, many organizations and businesses closed during the festive season and the schools only started 2 days ago, the public, in my opinion, won't have adequate time to consider this proposed amendment. And it is important to take into account that despite that we've had 17 amendment bills regarding the Constitution, this will be the first time an amendment is proposed to a right and a Bill of Rights. So it is a critical amendment we need to take notice of.
Are you getting enthusiasm from the public? I mean, do they want to comment, and what sort of comments and concerns are being expressed?
Yes, so I'm quite sure if you take into account that during the Constitutional Review Committee's public hearings and written submissions, which happened in 2018, and again, it might be useful just to distinguish it. In 2018, the Constitutional Review Committee was specifically mandated to get the public's views on the need to amend Section 25 to allow for expropriation without compensation. And I mean, there was public hearings in all provinces. There was about 600,000 written submissions, if I'm correct. So the public really participated in the process. What we do have now is a very distinct process. Now we actually have how this amendment to the right will look like, the formulation, the nitty-gritty of the amendment. So it's a very different, it's a distinct process from what happened in 2018. And the public now, it's critical for the public to actually participate in this public participation process, because now we know how Parliament proposes Section 25, a property clause, to be amended. And it might be useful just to point out the amendment doesn't say without compensation, so it specifically provides that a court may decide that in certain may decide, and these circumstances will be specified in legislation, that a compensation for land and improvements thereon, when expropriated for land reform purposes, the compensation is nil. So it doesn't refer to a word without compensation. So it uses nil compensation. So, I mean, this is technical when we need to go and look at the technicalities of the amendment, and that's what civil society organizations are looking at now. Regarding your question, how the public feels about it, I mean, we as an organization are fundamentally opposed to amending a constitution in this sense, because we do believe Section 25 in its current format can accelerate land reform. The Constitution obviously isn't immune against amendments, but it should be immune against political pressure. You do not want a political amendment. It has to withstand its times as well.
Well,
so
what are the potential ramifications for a political amendment?
No, so just to clarify, I might call it a political amendment. This was obviously, it's dated back from the ANC's resolution to adopt. So from a constitutional perspective, we are of the view that Section 25 provides for a balance of interest, and it hasn't been utilized properly to actually affect land reform, to accelerate it. The Constitution is not a problem, but we will obviously go into more detail when we do our submissions on it. And I think what's also important important to highlight, it's not just the content of the bill which will be scrutinised, it's also how the bill came to be. So the process is just as important, and public participation is a constitutional guarantee. So this will definitely, if there isn't adequate public participation, it can become a problematic in the run-up to adoption of the bill.
Okay, well, we wait to hear if you get what you want, that extension. Christine Botha, thank you very much.